The Pixel lineup has always been about the camera. You don't buy one for cutting-edge hardware, but for the superb camera experience and Google's unique software features. But with the new Pixel 9, that narrative might change. Or maybe not. Okay, so Google did sample us the entire Pixel 9 lineup, including the Pixel 9, the Pixel 9 Pro, and the Pixel 9 Pro XL. Now, among these, the 9 and the 9 Pro stood out to me the most thanks to the convenient form factors. They're just easy to carry around, and it's great for one-hand use. And coming from my iPhone 16 Pro, they felt surprisingly familiar. I'll be focusing on the Pixel 9 in this video since I've been using this for the past 5 months, and I believe that it offers 95% of what the 9 Pro does, but for 20% less. And as of making this video, Google has already slashed the prices of the Pixel lineup by $150. So I'm approaching this review with a few key questions. Has Google addressed the app stability issues or the glitches that I experienced with the Pixel 8? Is Tensor G4 finally competitive with the other flagship processors? And finally, how good is Gemini? Is it just a rebranded Google Assistant? Because let's be real here for a sec, okay? There's no monumental leap in hardware over the Pixel 8. I mean, sure, the screen gets nice boost in peak brightness, which is great for outdoor use, and you get a new chip with 4 extra gigabytes of RAM, obviously for AI stuff, but beyond that, there's not much else. What is new, however, is the refreshed design, which might just be Google's best yet. From the flatter edges to the soft touch, matte rails, and the well-rounded camera bump, it's a joy to hold. I also noticed that the camera bump acts as a subtle support system for my index finger. It feels natural, and I really like that. If we take a step back and examine the entire Pixel lineup, it just feels like Google was heavily inspired by the iPhone. One thing I wish Google nailed was consistency across the entire lineup, because the frost texture on the Pixel 9 Pro feels more premium compared to the glossy finish on the Pixel 9, which is just prone to fingerprints. Thankfully though, the porcelain color that I have over here hides most of the smudges pretty well, and let's be honest, most people, like 95% of us, will probably slap a case on it anyway. If you're considering switching from an iPhone, just be prepared for a bit of a headache because my Pixel 9 took forever to complete the setup process, and at times, it just flat out refused to respond to my inputs. After a few hours and multiple attempts, and a lot of patience, I finally got it up and running. During my first few weeks with the phone, I noticed a few things. The switch to an ultrasonic fingerprint sensor makes unlocking the phone much faster, and it's also more accurate. Plus, it doesn't blind you at night when the screen is dim like the Pixel 8 did with the optical reader. And if you need an alternative, you can set up Face Unlock as a backup, though it doesn't really work that well with sunglasses. Unlike the Pro series, the Pixel 9 features a non-LTPO OLED panel with a fixed 120Hz refresh rate. Now, this means that it can't scale back down to 1 Hz to save battery, but overall though, it's still a visually impressive screen for everyday smartphone use. I've noticed that the ambient sensor still struggles outdoors. The screen often dims when it should be bright, which gets really frustrating. So I ended up just disabling that feature through the settings and then just manually adjusting brightness instead. This applies to the Pro and the Pro XL as well. And if you recall, my experience with third-party apps on the Pixel 8 wasn't great. It often felt like I was using a 60Hz display. And according to some app developers in the comments of that video, they pointed out to the issue of poor coding practices, as many developers just don't bother rewriting the apps using modern standards for newer smartphones. The good news is that this seems to have been improved with the Pixel 9 thanks to app updates and Android 15 and various stability patches. Many of my frequently used apps like Reddit, WhatsApp, and Microsoft Teams, they are running pretty much smoothly this time around. However, not everything is perfect. My banking apps lag horribly. YouTube Studio still remains laggy. Oddly enough, Google Maps felt stuttery as well, navigating through the city. It never quite lived up to the smooth 120Hz experience that Google was aiming for. The camera app still remains sluggish in capturing photos, with prolonged processing times. And there's Instagram. I mean, that's another story. Sometimes it creates black bars around the UI, and it occasionally fails to scale profile icons correctly. For example, this is what our logo should look like, and this is what I actually get. It also refuses to open links within the bio, which was super frustrating. And while this app doesn't run optimally on the Pixel 9, I've noticed similar issues on my Pixel 9 Pro as well. So it's not specific to just one device. I've also noticed that the phone tends to heat up when using Android Auto, especially on hot days. This leads to noticeable UI lag and a drop in refresh rate, impacting overall performance. Even though it is colder here in Canada right now, the Pixel 9 still gets warm to the touch when you're using extensively. But again, I can already tell that when the summer days are approaching, this thing is not going to hold up that well. And this brings me to the conversation about Tensor G4, because in a lot of ways, it is very similar to Tensor G3's performance, and in no way can compete with Qualcomm's latest Snapdragon 8 Elite and something like the OnePlus 13. So yeah, it's pretty safe to say that Google is falling behind the competitors. And I just don't think that that's acceptable when they're charging $800 to $1,000 for the Pro models, because these phones share the exact same chip. I mean, the price simply doesn't justify the user experience. So where does the Pixel 9 truly excel? Well, there's AI. Just kidding. I'll get to that shortly. The standard feature of the mediocre Tensor G4 is its power efficiency, which translates to surprisingly really good battery life. With a 3% increase in battery capacity from the Pixel 8, my experience has been fairly the same compared to the Pixel 8. I mean, battery life, again, this is one of those conversations. It can vary depending on usage. But on my typical work days, which are relatively light since I'm pretty much glued to my computer, I managed to go nearly 2 full days without needing to recharge. And if you're hoping for faster charging, don't hold your breath. The Pixel 9 still caps at 27 watts wired, 12 watts wireless with a compatible Qi charger, and 15 watts with the Pixel stand. The Pro models have received a faster charging, so that's, I guess, a nice bump. Call quality is also excellent, didn't have any issues with the reception, and I've also noticed that the vibration motor is really strong enough to ensure that you won't miss any notifications. Remember how I mentioned that the Pixel lineup has always been about the camera? Well, these photos pretty much prove that, since it is one of the best in the market. If you're patient with the laggy camera app, you can end up with some pretty amazing results. But that shouldn't be surprising, since the Pixel 9 houses the exact same sensors as the Pixel 8, with the exception of the ultra-wide sensor, which has received a bump from 12 megapixels to 48 megapixels. But in the end, the software bends it down to 12 megapixels to save on storage, and the results don't really look all that different from the Pixel 8. But other than that, the dynamic range is solid, and when you pair that with OIS and Google's AI processing, images are well detailed. The primary 50 megapixel sensor consistently delivers clean, well-exposed, and detailed images. You still get the option to shoot in RAW, which is nice to see on a non-Pro phone. The only thing you'd be missing would be the dedicated periscope telephoto lens from the Pixel 9 Pro, since it allows to zoom into subjects by 30x versus 8x on the Pixel 9. The selfie camera is fantastic. It has a wider field of view, which is great for group selfies, and it captures my skin tones accurately. I think the Pixel 9 arguably has one of the best front-facing cameras on a smartphone, period. The rear-facing cameras produce impressive video with 10-bit HDR recording and excellent built-in stabilization. Active mode is still limited to 1080p, but it ensures smooth action shots. Now, video in low light still shows some noise, but these things are still pretty impressive for social media or content creation.
Folks, this is the Well here in Toronto. It is a great opportunity to test out the Audio Magic Eraser on the Pixel 9. So this, again, uses AI that's been developed by Google, and it essentially identifies different speakers. You can also use this to reduce wind noise, which, as you can see, it's a windy day, and you can also reduce different distracting elements in the audio to clean it up for your content. Let me shoot this thing.
Now, Google has always had a knack for adding cool and fun camera features to its Pixel lineup, designed to enhance the user experience and making photography more engaging. One of those features is called Add Me, which uses Google's augmented reality platform and on-device AI models powered by the Tensor G4 chip. Now, This idea is pretty simple, but also very clever. So essentially, Add Me guides you to snap the first photo, and then it prompts you to trade places with someone else to get yourself in the shot, and then it combines the images to create the perfect group photo. While the concept is impressive, it's not without its quirks. In some cases, it likes chopping off my legs in one photo or awkwardly repositioning my fingers in another place. This feature is part of Google's broader suite of tools, including Magic Editor, which uses generative AI to clean up photos, and there are many other tools that you may or may not find useful. Interestingly, every time when I use Add Me, it instantly becomes a conversation starter. People were fascinated about how it worked, and I might have unintentionally been selling the Pixel 9 in the process. Now, one of Google's major focuses this year has been Gemini, their latest AI model designed to be faster, more accurate, and capable of delivering a conversational experience in live mode. So let's check it out. Now, for some reason, the Pixel 9 still comes with Google Assistant and Gemini. So for example, don't mistake this microphone icon for Gemini. It actually activates Google Assistant, so you could still do Google search results and whatnot. But if you need to trigger Gemini live, simply hold the power button, tap that icon, and just like that, you're on Gemini Live. Can you help me summarize my recent mail?
So I can't access your emails yet when we are live.
I took some shots of a 1998 Jaguar XJR in British Racing Green, and I was wondering if you can help me come up with an really inspiring creative Instagram caption. Just highlight the color and the ivory interior.
Okay, here's a caption idea. This classic British Racing Green Jaguar XJR is a timeless beauty with a rich history. The color is iconic, and the ivory interior adds a touch of pure luxury. Every inch of this car oozes style and sophistication.
I think ChatGPT probably does a better job. I think I've tried DeepSeek as well, and it does seem to be doing a way better job than Gemini, but let's try this other prompt. Hey, could you actually find the recent video that was uploaded to the Hardware Canucks YouTube channel?
All right, the most recent video from Hardware Canucks is their review of the new Intel Core i9 to 13,900 kilo Siemens processor. They put it through a bunch of tests, including gaming and...
Yeah, buddy, you're wrong. Try it again. Try again. It's not working. It's not. Yeah. So it doesn't know. It definitely, that is not the recent video because we just published our RTX 5080 review. So that's a quick demo of Gemini Live. Google still has a long way to go to perfecting this model. I still find that there are plenty of other options out there for free that you can already do on your existing smartphone that do a way better job than what this thing can do. Yeah, not that impressive. Now, Google is also offering another tier called Gemini Advanced. Now, this is exclusively available on the Pixel 9 Pro and 9 Pro XL. Gemini Advanced takes things further by giving users access to Google's next-gen AI models, and you also get a hefty 2 terabytes of cloud storage free for 1 year. But there's a catch. Once that trial ends, it's going to cost you $20 a month to maintain access. And I think it's a clever way for Google to get you hooked into additional storage and advanced AI features, making subscription feel almost unavoidable once the trial expires. So just keep a mental note of that as you're using these features. Now, some other features include Pixel Studio, which is Google's AI-powered image generator, but not exactly groundbreaking. It struggles with complex prompts. For example, if you ask it to create a cat driving an F1 car, it might just overlay a photo of a cat onto an F1 car rather than generating something creative. Even for something simple like generating thumbnail inspirations for this review, it doesn't understand what the Pixel 9 looks like. It actually referred to an older model like the Pixel 4. There's a new weather app featuring AI-generated reports. It's a neat addition, but I don't find it useful. The Screenshots app is a disappointment. It's supposed to recall information Gemini processed when you take screenshots, but in my experience, it fell short. For example, when I ask about something as recent as a Valcar gasket replacement for my E90, it couldn't find that content. And it seems like other users have been experiencing similar issues. Honestly, Google should have integrated this functionality into the Photos app in the first place because Photos already does a really good job with search results. And this builds onto the already clean, pure Android experience. There's no unnecessary fluff. I love how customizable this platform is, from creating your own wallpapers to tweaking device sounds. The voice recorder app is a standout feature with fast and accurate speech to text. which has been really useful, especially since my wife, she broke her wrist and she needed this tool to basically transcribe all of her medical reports. It's just faster. It's so accurate. It's seriously underrated. Circle Search is another underrated gem. It's fast, accurate, and honestly, I just wish iPhones had it. The file management system is top-notch. The cameras doubling as webcam is a really nice bonus. Plus, Google's promise of 7 years of software updates is great news, but I'm not sure how the underwhelming Tensor chip will hold up over all those updates. You see, the Pixel 9 is one of Google's most premium phones, especially the 9 Pro and the 9 Pro XL. It boasts solid hardware and great cameras, though the app experience is still needs work. The biggest letdown for this phone is the Tensor G4, which struggles to deliver a smooth 120Hz experience Google promises. And I said the same thing with the Tensor G3 on my Pixel 8 series review. It seems like they haven't been valuing user feedback. And at this price point, performance should match flagship level cost. And here it just falls short. As for Gemini and Google's AI push, it's cool to have it on device, but with fierce competition from OpenAI and now with DeepSeek, it doesn't feel revolutionary. And if you're on the Pixel 8, it's already there, so there's no reason to upgrade for the experience. The Pixel 9 is a good phone. If you can catch it at a discount or through trade-ins, it's worth considering, but at full price, hard pass.